informative, communicative, curious. These are some of the higher consciousness words that we associate with Gemini. Along with dishonest, gossiping, and unreliable, that gives us a certain frame and certain stereotypical association of this zodiac sign. Where does this picture come from? I'm gonna bring you a little bit more understanding of Gemini zodiac sign and how planets in Gemini express. Welcome to Astro Aligned. My name is Cyprian and I'm here to support you in your awakening process and expand your consciousness. Gemini is an air sign and mutable sign. The air element operates on the surface. The air does not like necessarily deep emotions. It prefers the surface, the appearances. It goes and flies and it's constantly to be fresh. And air is associated with our thoughts processes, with our intellect and ideas. So the air element and all the zodiac signs of air that fit into the air element are quite intellectual, idealistic. They like gathering theories, gathering data, and finding a mental understanding of things. They love ideas. They love words. Like words have deeper meaning for them. They are a lot focused. They're focused on thinking and of exchanging the ideas, and that's why also they are quite often social, and they need that social interactions. When it comes to the mutable modality, mutable modality represents the end of the season. So often the cardinal signs are the initiators, the fixed ones are the one who maintain, and the mutable is preparing for the end. They are the quickest, but also the most adaptable and adjustable. They actually are focused on healing and completing the what started in the cardinal phase. So when we combine air and mutable, we've got someone who is focused on ideas, on the social realm, or exchanging the thoughts, but it does it in a very diverse, scattered way. So that means that such combination gives Gemini lots of interesting traits. They are very intellectual, very curious. They want to gather constantly new ideas. They want to constantly bring more understanding. So they need a lot of points of views to combine together. They need a lot of different feedback from. They need lots of different social circles, and through that they kind of bring more understanding. They are very much focused, because this is the air sign, they are very much focused on understanding and communicating. So they will be trying to understand the reality they live in. When it comes to the low consciousness features of Gemini, we can easily see why, for example, gossiping is one of the features. The gossiping is basically trying to get as many possible reference points and sensational information, get them all together and bring more understanding, build up a certain intellectual story of what's happening. Living for the sensations is something that we can attribute to Geminis. But this is the low consciousness quality of Gemini, and of course some Gemini that operates from the higher level of consciousness will be more like data gathering, will be more trying to have an intellectual view on things, will be more into the researching. They're not necessarily going very deep with the researches and understanding. They like to have variety of ideas behind them. That's why they are stimulated to create a huge social circles, to explore something new. They love and see opportunities much easier. They are great in quick thinking, what makes them quite witty and funny. Those are some of the qualities of the air and mutable sign combination, which is the Gemini. Gemini and generally planets in Gemini will avoid deeper feelings, deeper emotions, because air and water are very contrasting elements. They don't necessarily have a lot in common together. The air cannot breathe in water. The water is like taking that ability to think, to be rationalized, to be objective away from them. They prefer the clarity of the situation, they prefer objectivity, and they prefer theories rather than deep feelings and deep emotions. So that's what planets in air will not like. When we have planets in Gemini, the initial response is to avoid. So they will avoid the confrontation and conflict, open confrontation and open conflicts. They will much more rather try to shift the attention from the side of the conflict and go to somewhere else. The attention span, especially when we combine air, so air is quite fast and moving, and mutable is the most fast and moving of the modalities. That combination makes Gemini very like full of pace. They are always somewhere. They intellect and their mind never sleeps, and that's why we often say they are like two people, like twins living in one person. They are thinking and doing all and multitasking and doing all at the same time. So planets in Gemini are quite they're quite diverse. They can do many things at the same time. They can have lots of skills, and they can have lots of points of reference, lots of understanding. They could have a very basic conversation with anyone, but not necessarily going too deep and too much into the emotions. So this is what we need to understand about the planets in Gemini. They lack focus, they lack determination, they are maybe not the most dependable and reliable, but they are quite informative and quite diverse, quite skillful. Because Gemini is a sign that is not satisfied easily with the current circumstances, and they have like this monkey intellect that is always going for new ideas, which comes from that need to gather more and need to understand more. That the main motivation is to actually bring more understanding of things and more opportunities and more experiences. This all makes Gemini quite hard to stay in one place, in one relationship, to stay very committed. There is so much going on in their mind and in their thoughts and in their ideas. They prefer to just go and jump around and explore everything, and that's natural for Geminis, and that's why that's often the problem that they have in maintaining long-term relationships or long-term commitments, people who have lots of planets in Gemini. So when we, for example, think about different planets in Gemini, when we think about, for example, Moon in Gemini, and Moon is our safety and our feelings, Moon in Gemini will need to communicate their problems. They will need to get the understanding of their problems. They want to be heard. They want to communicate. They would like to even have different points of views to actually bring themselves into the safety. They cannot just have one person or even like one therapist who is going to guide them through things. They actually need a lot of different information to make sense of the situation, and they only start feeling safe when they start having a proper understanding of the situation, a mental completion. They will really deeply avoid going deep into their feelings, becoming vulnerable, or exploring like deep causes and roots of pain. They will just prefer to make it all feel nice, good on the surface. When we have Venus, for example, in Gemini, we will explore. Venus represents our need for appreciation, feeling loved, creating a relationship, and basically our self-worth. So Venus in Gemini would love to hear the compliments, would like to hear the words, because the words matter a lot for Gemini, for generally all air signs, but especially for Gemini. They would like to see that they are being understood. They would like to see that their freedom is not limited. They would like to see that they are not like stuck in one place, but they are always free to move, free to explore. When someone provides them in that kind of qualities in relationship, they feel validated, they feel worthy, they feel that they deserve, and they feel loved. So they can generate more love to the partner as well. If Mars is in Gemini, we will have a huge problem with taking a proper focused action. That will be a person that will mostly try to do many things at the same time. It's a highly skilled and multitasking person, but not necessarily the one that is fully determined to achieve their goals. Jupiter in Gemini. So Jupiter represents faith, how we build faith, how we get motivation, what's our higher objective. The higher objective will have to be theoretically and reasonably understandable for the person. They will need to, they will not like the fantasies, they would like to prefer to have a quick objective, but something that can be understood and comprehend intellectually. So I hope this brings you a little bit deeper understanding of the qualities and energies that the combination of air element and mutable modality bring together. So how planets operate in Gemini. We could go much further with that, but I hope that you've got the basics at this point. If you liked the video, please do not hesitate to like it, and definitely do not hesitate to subscribe it. And I invite you for the next video about Cancer.